Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. The White House clarifies on U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to resettle Gaza's population, saying it would only be temporary as he draws criticism from Arab leaders and the UN. France delivers the first consignment of Mirage 2005 fighter jets to Ukraine to help Kiev defend its airspace against Russia. Australian lawmakers pass a series of amendments to the hate crime laws, making hate symbols and terror offences, including a Nazi salute, punishable with mandatory jail terms. Following Donald Trump, Argentina's President Javier Milei has announced withdrawal from the World Health Organization, attributing the decision to the WHO's management of the pandemic. And heavy snow blankets large parts of Japan, disrupting rail and air travel amid warnings that heavier snowfall could follow over the weekend. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest from India, where in the state of Punjab, undocumented immigrants deported from the US are accusing Trump administration of inhumane treatment. US Border Patrol showed illegal immigrants being handcuffed on their deportation flight on a military plane taking off from the US state of Texas to India's Amritsar. This was the furthest deportation flight out of the US since Donald Trump returned to power. Now, the US says that the ongoing deportation drive is critical to enforcing immigration laws and discouraging illegal entries into the country. The Indian nationals said that the 40-hour deportation flight was worse than hell. Apart from being handcuffed, all 104 Indian nationals allegedly had their feet tied with chains. One of the deportees said that nobody on the flight was allowed to move an inch from their seat, and that after repeated requests, they were allowed to drag themselves to the washroom with handcuffs on. Another deportee said that the deportation journey to India was not only physically painful, but also mentally exhausting. Now, after landing in Amritsar on Wednesday, several deported Indians were driven to their homes in different districts of Punjab state. The deportees received a sorrowful reception from their families, most of whom had taken huge loans, including some from exploitative sources, to facilitate their undocumented immigration from the United States. Upon reaching his village in Punjab's Hashirpur district, one of the deportees, Harinder Singh, broke down while meeting his family. And another deportee, Sukhpal Singh, admitted that he entered the US illegally. Singh also urged people to not take the illegal immigration route.
After entering the United States, we were arrested by the American authorities. We were put in detention for 14 days. We were not allowed to get out of the room or see the sun. A total of 104 of us have been deported. But back in the United States, there are thousands of Punjab residents like us, including women and children. They are all expected to be deported in the forthcoming batches. Stay here, live with lesser means. Do not dream of going abroad illegally. First, you lose huge sums of money, and second, there is risk of life as well.
The alleged inhumane treatment meted out to Indian deportees has created a political furor in New Delhi, where the parliament is currently in session. Earlier today, both the houses of Indian Parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, were adjourned. The adjournments came as agitated opposition lawmakers raised the matter and demanded answers from the government. In response, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that New Delhi is engaging with Washington to ensure that deportees are not mistreated in any manner. Jaishankar also pushed for a crackdown against the illegal immigration industry.
Of course, engaging the U.S. government to ensure that the returning deportees are not mistreated in any manner during the flight. At the same time, the House will appreciate that our focus should be on strong crackdown on the illegal migration industry, while taking steps to ease visas for the legitimate traveler. On the basis of information provided by returning deportees about the agents and others involved, law enforcement agencies will take necessary preventive and exemplary actions.
Amid Donald Trump's pushback against illegal immigration, India has repeatedly expressed its opposition to illegal immigration, citing security reasons. This was only the first of what looks like many more deportation flights that will bring back Indians who chose to enter the U.S. illegally. Now, staying on with Southeast Asia, Bangladesh's capital city Dhaka is on edge once again. Violence resurfaced in Dhaka as protesters continue to voice anger against the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. A furious mob ransacked and set ablaze the house of Sheikh Hasina's father and Bangladesh's founding father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The attackers forcibly entered the premises after breaking open the gate and went on a destructive rampage. The mob was seen destroying the structure by climbing up and setting the top floor of the building on fire. Several protesters used hammers and crowbars to destroy Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's portraits and burned books with him on the cover. The protesters declared the house-turned-museum, long associated with the Mujibur family, as a symbol of authoritarianism and fascism. The mob expressed their intentions to erase any trace of what they called Mujibism in the country. Now, there were also a large number of protesters outside the building who were chanting slogans against dictatorship, fascism, and the Awami League. Formed by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and later headed by his daughter Sheikh Hasina, the protests come amid a growing demand for a blanket ban on the Awami League. The protests and arson began after an online speech by ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India after the July uprising that ended her 16-year regime.
Why don't you leave us in peace? You and your people looted and emptied the entire country. Now live in luxury as per your wish. Why are you trying to incite Bangladeshi people again? Our biggest mistake was that we returned home. It was our biggest failure. These are the opportunities she has been exploiting repeatedly. We failed to stop her.
As the violence unfolded, Sheikh Hasina released an emotional message. Condemning the violence, Hasina said that the structure can be erased, but history cannot be wiped out. Seeking justice from the people of Bangladesh, Hasina said she had done a lot for her country and asked why she was being disrespected. Hasina added that a game of destruction is underway in the country, which today has become a land of terrorists and fighters.
বাইটার কি অপরাধ? ওই বাড়িটাকে কেন এত ভয়? আমি দেশের মানুষের কাছে আজকে বিচার চাই। আমি দেশের জনগণের কাছে বিচার চাই। বলুন আপনারা, আমি কি আপনাদের জন্য কিছু করিনি? যে স্মৃতিটুকু নিয়ে দুই বোন বেঁচেছিলাম, আজকে সেই স্মৃতিটুকু ভেঙে ফেলা হচ্ছে। এর আগে আগুন দিয়ে পুড়িয়েছে, আজকে তা ভেঙে ফেলা হচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ, একটা দালান ভেঙে ফেলতে পারে, ইতিহাস মুছতে পারবে না। বাংলাদেশ একটা ক্রান্তি লগ্নের মধ্য দিয়ে চলছে। বাংলাদেশকে নিয়ে যেন একটা ধ্বংসের খেলা শুরু হয়েছে। যে বাংলাদেশটা সারা বিশ্বের কাছে উন্নয়নের রোল মডেল ছিল, উন্নয়নের বিস্ময় ছিল, সেই বাংলাদেশের আজকে চরমভাবে ধ্বংস করে আজ একটা জঙ্গি সন্ত্রাসীদের দেশ হিসেবে পরিণত করা হয়েছে। এটাই হলো সবথেকে দুর্ভাগ্যের বিষয়।
In a direct accusation on the interim leader Muhammad Yunus, Hasina said that the latest attack was orchestrated and meticulously planned by him to eliminate her and her sister. Since the fall of Hasina's government, this is the second time that Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's house has been vandalized by protesters. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, fondly referred to as Bangabandhu, or Friend of Bengal, has been celebrated for years as the leader who spearheaded the country's liberation struggle and helped it emerge as an independent nation from Pakistan in 1971. However, in recent months, the opposition parties have tried to portray him as a symbol of hate. Reports say the attack was led by Bangladesh's largest Islamist political party, the Jamaat-e-Islami. The party had been outlawed by the Hasina regime under an anti-terrorism law. The ban has now been lifted by the interim government of Muhammad Yunus. Yunus claims Sheikh Hasina has tarnished the reputation of her father Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He has been pushing hard for her extradition from India as Bangladesh continues to reel under severe economic and political uncertainty. The country is looming under a worsening economic crisis. And despite claiming to hold power with a promise to hold elections within 3 months, Yunus seems far away from being ready to conduct elections. So discontent among political parties is already brewing. Is Sheikh Hasina's extradition saga a diversionary tactic by the Yunus's interim government to cover up its failure in bringing back stability to the country? And with repeated attacks on Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's house, are protesters in Bangladesh trying to wipe off Bangabandhu's legacy? And moving on, US President Donald Trump's maximum pressure campaign against Iran has sparked concerns in India. Why? Because it could harm New Delhi's strategic interests. Here's how. Now, Trump's latest order has raised the possibility of the sanctions waiver for the Chabahar port being revoked. The US President's memo to the Secretary of State said that Washington shall modify or rescind sanctions waivers, particularly those that provide Iran any degree of economic or financial relief, including those related to Iran's Chabahar port project. The US earlier held that modernization of the Chabahar port will be exempt from sanctions because it served as an important gateway for India to send humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, circumventing Pakistan. In 2018, Trump had given a narrow waiver to India to develop the Iranian port. However, the new order by Trump in his second term would possibly not go well with India. Chabahar is a deep water port in the Sistan-Baluchistan province of Iran. It is the closest Iranian port to India and is in the open sea, so it provides easy and secure access for large cargo ships. In May last year, India and Iran signed a 10-year agreement to further develop the Chabahar port as a regional connectivity hub, linking India to Afghanistan, Central Asia, and Europe. India announced an investment of $120 million to equip the port. New Delhi also offered a credit of $250 million to Iran for infrastructure development. As per the agreement, India would also equip and operate the port for the next 10 years. Now, the port is key for India to strengthen its influence in Central Asia, and Trump's new order could impact this and India's strategic access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. The new set of sanctions could jeopardize India's long-term investments at the port It could also affect India's ongoing development work at Chabahar and could restrict its ability to continue operations without facing consequences from the US. Now, India's trade with Iran has fallen in recent years, largely due to US sanctions. In 2018 to 2019, India imported around $13 billion worth of goods from Iran, with around $12 billion of that being oil. However, since 2019 to 2020, India's imports from Iran have dropped to less than $1 billion annually. Between April and October of 2024, India's imports from Iran stood at $216 million. Now, given the importance of Chabahar port to India, the issue is expected to be a significant topic of discussion when India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets with Donald Trump in Washington next week. The two leaders are expected to hold a meeting on the 13th of February. Donald Trump's maximum pressure approach against Iran, pressurizing it economically and diplomatically, could clash with India's strategic interests and a stable and functioning Chabahar port. And for our final story, we take you to Germany, where later this month the city is aiming to return its legendary local beer into a spirit of democracy. As the German federal elections approach on the 23rd of February, authorities in the city of Duisburg have devised an unconventional strategy to bring more citizens to the polling stations. Situated roughly 550 kilometers west of Berlin, Duisburg, a city of 500,000 residents, is no stranger to civic duty. Yet in recent years, it has struggled with low voter turnout. To reverse the trend and rekindle the electoral enthusiasm, authorities will rely on a legendary local brew. Crafted since 1858, the famed König Pilsner. Now, municipal authorities have joined forces with organizers of a beloved local carnival for the unique Voting Day initiative. Every eligible voter in the polling station will be greeted with the most tempting reward: a chilled pint of König Pilsner, freshly poured in celebration of civic engagement. But much like the beer itself, this innovation comes with a distinct malty twist. Now, those wishing to indulge in the hops-infused reward must cast their ballots during a specific window. The first 4 hours of polling on the 15th of February, which is a full week before the official election day on the 23rd of February. Now, upon exiting the polling booth, voters will be presented with an array of choices to suit their tastes: a traditional Pilsner, a non-alcoholic variety, or a soft drink. And to elevate the experience further, a selection of Germany's most beloved snacks awaits, including the iconic bratwurst, ensuring that democracy has never tasted this good. The initiative aims to revitalize voter engagement in Duisburg, a city where turnout has historically fallen over 8% below the national average of 76%. With a unique blend of civic duty and culinary delight, officials hope to bridge this gap and stoke a new wave of political participation. But this is not the first time that Duisburg has experimented with beer for ballots. Last year, during the European parliamentary elections, a similar offer was extended, though with a significant difference. Only non-alcoholic beer was served. The result? A lackluster response as turnout remained stubbornly low. This year, Duisburg is raising the stakes, expanding its polling day menu to include a full-fledged feast of German delicacies, from full-strength beer to sizzling bratwursts. In Germany, where beer holds a cultural reverence, only time will tell if beer for ballots strategy will boost voter turnout or not. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies. shedding light on the world's top headlines. Detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on